some very exciting news. There is a new way of fighting the aging process. It's called facial fat grafting. Instead of making the face tighter, one doctor is adding fat. Dr. Samuel Lamb is with Lamb Facial Plastics. He is also the author of Complimentary Fat Grafting. Dr. Lamb joins us this morning with some details of this procedure, and he has brought along some guests with him. Good morning, Dr. Lamb.
Good morning, Amy.
I cannot believe adding fat to the body is ever a good thing. I can't wait for you to explain this to me.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it?
It does. What is fat grafting?
Well, fat grafting is a whole new way of looking at beauty. It's from the ground up. We're looking at beauty differently. So I'm excited to share this with you.
Yes.
In the past, all we did was pull and pull and pull. And I think you'll probably agree with me if you look around town. There are a lot of people that looked a little tight.
A little pulled.
A little bit pulled, if you would say that. And I brought a prop with me. Now, it's rather appropriate that we're in the kitchen, so I brought some fruits.
Okay. Sounds good.
We start with this idea here that when you're young, you're a grape. Now, this may be too big a grape, but the grape is what we have, that luscious fullness around the eyes, the cheeks, and the chin, not down here, but in all the right places. And that fullness over time begins to go away. Now, this is probably an extreme example, but I like to say that we become a raisin. And that raisin, if people look at this and go, you know what we need to do? The plastic surgeons say, you've got to take this and cut it away and lift it and pull it. And what you get at the end of the whole day is you get a pea. And a pea, in my opinion, is not a grape. So you look very different. That's why people's identities are radically changed after plastic surgery in an unfavorable way. So my principle is taking that grape and bringing it back and making it a grape. And this is why when I go around nationally and lecture about 10 times a year, what I'm so excited about is espousing this new philosophy, and people are slowly getting it, which is exciting to me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. You're right. Why not bring you back to what you were before rather than something completely radical and different? That's when you notice work looks a little bit pulled. That's when you notice somebody's had something different, that they don't look like themselves anymore.
The whole saying, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, I don't want that to be, I don't want my patients to look like aliens.
Yes,
I don't think that's a good thing.
That sounds good to me. Well, you brought some pictures today of CHRISTIE Brinkley. Now let's talk about Farrah.
Well, in all deference to Farrah, I think she looks a lot better recently. I saw her in the Emmys, so I certainly don't want to say anything negative. But I think if you look, her identity is radically changed. If you start with the brow, the upper eyelid, it was full and it was low in her 30s. And over time, as the aging process continued, she actually became more and more hollow. But what exacerbated that, what worsened that situation, is what a plastic surgeon did, was to take that brow and literally lift it very, very high. So when you bring that brow so much higher, you don't look like yourself. And you know what's so fundamental about what I do is I feminize the face. I make it beautiful and sensuous. I don't make it masculine.
Well, you brought two lovely ladies with you today that I want to mention, and you also demonstrating this fat grafting. What can you tell us about what we're going to see?
Well, I want to bring up, Fred, could you bring up the first before and after, if you don't mind? Wonderful, thank you. Basically, what I want to do with this is, before we start introducing our guests, I want to just show you this photograph. And the point is, if you look around the eyes, it's totally hollow. There's a vacuous look there, and it makes her look tired. And if you bring back that vitality of reshaping around the eyes, it creates a gorgeous shape to the eye, and it makes her look vital and feminine and youthful, and exactly like she used to look like. In fact, she has a twin, identical twin, and what's interesting is they sat across from each other and looked at each other, and they said, wow, my goodness, you look 20 years younger. But it was like looking in the mirror of herself 20 years ago, and the shape of that face has a beautiful triangularity, which is exciting.
Keeping true to what you were before, not a radical change. That's
Absolutely.
really what we're focusing on. Okay, tell me, who are these lovely ladies?
These lovely ladies, maybe we'll start with Kim. She's sitting next to me. And
hi, Kim.
Kim, if we can throw up should we throw the before and after yet?
Absolutely.
Is really what Kim had was is facial fat grafting. You can see this is the hollowness around the cheeks and the eyes, and I created that heart-shaped face that we were talking about, which is lusciously feminine and sensuous and beautiful.
That's a radical change. Now, Kim, I have to ask you, when you went into Dr. Lamb and he suggested fat grafting, what was your first instinct?
I thought he was crazy.
You heard the word fat and you said, that's not for me. And are you just so pleased?
Yes, it was an awesome experience.
Yes.
I don't drive 2 hours, 4:30 in the morning, Monday, Dallas traffic, for just anyone.
Okay, well that's a testament.
He's awesome. It was a great experience. The staff, and I went back to work the next day.
You did?
Yeah.
So is that typical recovery
Well,
time?
you know, Kim is probably exceptional. There is a little bit of recovery
thank
time.
you.
Even though this procedure, there is no cutting, no incisions, no sutures, no bandages, none of the traditional ideas of surgery, there's still a recovery. You're still a little bit swollen. What I found is that even people a few weeks out, even though they're still slightly swollen, there's a magnificent swelling. It's beautiful. I call it a honeymoon swelling. They're in that time where, especially if someone has had a facelift, where they have that 2 or 3 weeks where they look just a little bit of swelling, they get exactly why facial fat grafting is so important. Because at that point, they say, hey, you know what? I like my result for about 3 weeks, and then I didn't like it down the road.
Right.
So they get it. And that's the best way for me to communicate it to someone that's had a procedure done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's introduce our next lovely lady here. Who is this?
Martha is a wonderful model as well.
Hi, Martha.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Can we see her before picture
Sure.
and see what the work she
Martha's
did?
over a year out now, and you can see that people say fat doesn't last, and it's absolutely permanent. It's gorgeous, and she has that beautiful, soft vitality that's sensuous and feminine. And I create femininity. I don't just make someone more youthful. That's what's so profound about it.
Well, you're absolutely right. Fat grafting is in. Fat is in. You heard it right here on GMT.
Yes.
Dr. Lamb, thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Again, Dr. Lamb is the author of Complimentary Fat Grafting. You can find out more by logging on to lambfacialplastics.com. We'll also have all of this information on our website, wfaa.com/GMT. Brenda, over to you.
Well, Gary's willing to make a donation.
Yeah, I've got plenty of fat for you to graft. There you go.
Up next on Good Morning Texas, Elizabeth Hurley joins us to talk about life, love, and why she's heading into the kitchen in a fight to find a cure for breast cancer.
And then we're dancing in our GMT studio. Allegre Ballet Folklorico is going to join us with a preview of their special performance with North Texas's newest orchestra. So stay with us.